Good afternoon, Ali MacCallum. Thank you for joining us for this. It's afternoon for you and actually up in Wales, and for me up in Westchester, New York. It's Friday midday, so I thank you for staying up late on a Friday to do this. I'm sure all of our schedules are completely crazy with this unprecedented and sobering times. You, Ali, you've got a great career. You've been a WPP fellow for a while, previously at M6, and then you also spent some time at Zenith and McCann. And this role is your first kind of out-of-home specialist role. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, 24 years of full-service media agencies, and now specialising.
What attracted you to the out-of-home area?
Well, I think 24 years of working in media agencies was one part of it. I wanted to do something different. Also, I just felt last year when I joined that out-of-home was at a really interesting inflection point. With all the investment in infrastructure, data, trading platforms, which was already driving growth at a time when other channels were struggling. But actually it was also the fact that I felt out-of-home was the last big media channel to go through proper disruption and transformation, and there was a real opportunity to grow the share of the industry. And it was a sentiment I got from many of the people that I spoke to on the way in.
Yeah, and a great dynamic change, up until just recently, incredible momentum that we've all created over the past 3 years. How are they adapting? How, as the CEO, how are you providing leadership and keeping morale going and keeping creativity and diligence all going?
I think the teams themselves have actually created quite a lot of momentum, which has been the really impressive thing. I think now that we've gone to fully remote working, the emphasis for us as a leadership team has to shift to how we support our team professionally and personally. From a health perspective, they need to follow the advice that we're all being given. We've invested a lot of time in the last couple of weeks in communicating, and in some respects actually I think the communication across the business has been better than ever. The cadence of daily check-ins and end of play check-ins. I think that the fascinating thing is how you have to respond to things that are happening very quickly. So UK schools closed last week, and therefore that's really impacted on a lot of parents and their working patterns. We've had a lot of little people wanting to join video calls, which has been fun, and some dogs as well. And quite a lot of people are in situations that aren't necessarily ideal, so shared households or living on their own. People are, this is really unusual because people are dealing with profound changes in both their professional lives but their personal lives in tandem, and I think we're very lucky that the technology is there to help us to connect, and we're trying to bring the company together as much as we can. Like many other businesses, we've seen wellness sessions, cooking sessions, virtual pub crawls all emanate from the teams. We're happily stealing lots of ideas from those that are sharing them. So I think as this cycle continues, I think the real emphasis for us is going to be how do we help maintain the mental and physical health of our people, whatever energy that requires, whilst obviously trying to lead the business in the right way.
Then what are the brands saying? What are your clients saying? How are they reacting to out of home? Are they able to pause business? What's the thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a number of brands that have product or business challenges that mean they cannot sustain advertising through this period, and in that instance, we've been working really hard with the vendor partners who've been brilliant to defer or cancel activity where necessary. Actually, a lot of activity has pushed back to Q3, Q4. But obviously, the number of journeys that people are making out of home has very, very quickly declined in the UK since we went into the sort of quasi lockdown. So we're having to spend a lot of time and energy on helping clients to change their plans. As I said, Q3, Q4 is going to be very interesting because there is not an infinite supply in out of home, so there will be pressure on space. The other thing we have seen is a lot of brands react smartly to this by changing copy, or actually donating inventory to the National Health Service or Public Health England to help push community messages, and obviously at the same time showing the power of out of home. So it's really difficult at the moment. Our clients are under a lot of pressure. A lot of businesses genuinely at risk. We are trying as much as we can to help them through this phase. hopefully it will last less time than it possibly could do.
Yeah, we're all hoping for that. And you're right that there is really a fixed supply, which, could drive a good amount of demand once this thing is all over. A lot of people are also saying there'll be not only pent-up demand, of course, for people to get out, but, with the lack of media sport, with the, the way other media is trending in terms of, going to be having to make up a lot of make goods that it could draw money significantly to out of home. Are people sensing that or seeing that?
That's my instinct. I think it's very difficult, Barry, in this situation to start to push too hard around positive thoughts around the future. Right. That said, I think what we have observed through the last couple of weeks is just how much of British society and culture revolves around activity where people are either mobile or out of home. So, bars, restaurants, cinemas, gyms, theatres, all sorts of things, retail outlets. We do live our lives very much in urban situations and out of home. So I think when the lockdown finishes, or when people can go out again, there will be a huge pent-up demand, and the British psyche is to go out and celebrate. Right. And I suspect that, whilst there are going to be people who are going to go through very difficult periods over the next few weeks and months, financially and health-wise, I sense that there might be some kind of celebration. We just have to be ready as an industry to respond to that as and when it happens.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and we'll be talking some more about that. And I think actually Kinetic did the research that shows normally about 70% of our time is spent outside the home, and that probably will tick up, hopefully, at the end of this. Something else that has been coming on the scene, of course, and now it's huge in all media and growing in out of home, is programmatic. How is Kinetic approach programmatic and more automated system of trading?
Well, we've been working with media owners for the past 6 months to a year on how we develop that project, and we're starting to see more and more campaigns traded through our DSP or through our automated guaranteed model. I think the opportunity for us actually in the next 2 to 3 months is that if we're smart and we move quickly with our partners, we can actually create a bigger infrastructure and ecosystem around that and enhance the capabilities, so that as and when things do recover, out of home is well placed to drive all the things that it can do, but with the immediacy that people sometimes don't associate with the channel. So we have one eye on what we're doing right now, but we also have one eye on how we build that capability for the future. And we've got more and more evidence of how working with automated trading platforms can help really drive action as well as intent, particularly with D2C brands. We're seeing a lot of investment from them through our trading platforms. But it's still relatively early days. I think programmatic and out of home is in its infancy. The amount of inventory that's available through those channels is still relatively restricted. But I think now is the opportunity for us as an industry to push at the same time as trying to solve the issues that we have now out.
You're absolutely right. The immediacy is a key word that you mentioned there, Ali, and I guess one could say not only the immediacy of getting the messaging out via programmatic, but the fact that so much more of out of home is now becoming digital. Once things get back to normal, brands don't have to create huge television 30-second units, and B, the digital nature can really get messaging out rather quickly when hopefully the world gets back on its axis. So,
yeah, I think that's true, and also we're already seeing it actually with some of the social and community campaigns that are running across digital out-of-home screens. I think both in the US and other markets as well as the UK, and a lot of that is about dynamically created copy, which we can do quickly. And one of the legacy issues that out of home has is that planners and people who are in agencies like me and clients didn't necessarily always think of out of home as a short-term option, which is why you quite often see that money going to digital or news brands. And we have to ensure that people not only understand that you can buy with immediacy, but the value of doing that.
Great points. You're absolutely right. And you mentioned media owners. what guidance would you give to media owners during this period and the upcoming periods for media owners across all media, as well as digital out-of-home and out-of-home media owners?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the media owners are clearly having a very challenging time, particularly the smaller vendors, and we're trying to work together with them collaboratively to get through this period, but also talking already actually about how we accelerate collaboration. I think this has been an industry, my observation coming into it, where far too much of the competition was inward looking, rather than recognizing that we're actually competing against other media channels, and if we can come together, then we will be much stronger. And I already get the sense that people are working together more closely through this, which can only be a good learning. As I said, we are, I'm conscious we're putting a lot of pressure on the media owners because of the needs of our clients. We're trying to do it in the right way, and we have very strong relationships, and hopefully we can sustain those, and we can all come out of it stronger.
Yeah, and I agree with you. We've been big proponents of that change at DPAA, and we'll be partners in that moving ahead. So we're at home, we're at our cottages, we're at different places around. What do you find is kind of inspiring personally to you in this kind of work from home or work out of the office area that's a little bit more personal, so kind of people watching this can get to know Ali MacCallum a little bit better?
Been playing board games with my daughter, who I've discovered is a ruthless capitalist when it comes to Monopoly. And just try to, I think one of the bits of advice that we're giving to our teams is, be kind to yourself through this period, because we are all struggling, trying to get a 15-year-old girl to get into her homework whilst she's not at school has been very challenging for me personally. But everybody has these challenges, and I think we've just got to find a way of working flexibly. And I'm quite looking forward to this weekend to getting stuck into all the box sets that have been waiting for me to watch. But yeah, I mean, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, once we get into the rhythm of this, we can all use the time to upskill, to learn, to do more for ourselves. I think we're either going to come out of it healthier as a nation, or we'll have eaten too much. Not quite sure which one it's going to be.
Right. There's a term, I don't know if you've heard it, when the kids go off to college, they put on the college 15, which is the extra 15 pounds. So you may say that there's
like the Google 20, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you mentioned some great points there, and certainly I think we all hope that coming together, the embracing family, the getting outside, and being kind to people stays with us after this, because these are some important lessons that a society maybe we're learning the hard way, but really has value for after. And I think you bring up.
But I mean, I also think that the innovation tends to happen in periods. I mean, they used to talk about much innovation happened during wartime because out of necessity, and I think the same is going to be true of both professionally and personally. We're going to find new ways of working and living, which hopefully will help us be happier and thrive in the future.
I think those are some great words. Necessity is the mother of invention, and Ali MacCallum is one of our great leaders in our industry. And keep up the good work and good thinking for your teams, for your family, and hope you get back on that bike soon.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.